Hello class, today we'll learn about the major types of social research, and today's class entails the difference between basic and applied research. We're going to learn about that, what is basic research and what is applied research. We'll also be describing the types of purposes for research, the features for case study research, and we also try to see the difference between cross-sectional and longitudinal research, and end the class by trying to summarize the difference between data collection methods for quantitative and qualitative. When we talk about basic research, we actually mean academic research. They are usually called the pure research. Kind of uh, the, they are the kind of researches that forms theories, and these theories are considered as foundation for other research because before new researches are carried out, they must eh, they must choose a theory and which this new research are based on. Uh, Basic research supports or refutes theories sometimes, however, most times, whether they are refusing or they are refuting or supporting, there must be foundation. They serve as foundation for which new researches are carried out. Like I earlier said in our previous class, I said that theories are considered as foundation for researches. It's like, for example, you building a house, like the example I also gave in previous class, that is like, for example, you're building a house, and the house you must first and foremost lay a foundation, and the essence of this foundation is to give the house a firm structure. So for researches, there must be a theory which serve as a foundation for that research. Then basic research can impact on many issues and policy areas, and they are main source or tools for other researches too, because like there's no definite end to researches, they are usually continued, or they kind of form branches for other researches. So academic research, also basic research, are also considered to be time consuming and money consuming too, because like I like the most researches that are carried out in research centers and university, they are usually funded by organizations or university themselves. And even if they are not funded, most times students are made to pay fees, school fees, for their researches to be supervised, or for creating the necessary equipment or laboratories for them to carry out research. And usually this type of researches, they take time. They usually follow the duration of period which the study period has to cover, and this is why they are criticized that academic research are usually time consuming and time wasting. Basic researches, which are also good as academic research, are different from applied research. Applied research provides answers or solutions to correct questions, and they are usually very short term and small scale, unlike the basic research. We can also say that applied research provides practical results, and the practitioners are usually the audience for finding. We have types of applied research. We have the evaluation research, we have the action research, we have the social impact assessment research. For evaluation research, they are usually carried out by schools, government agencies, and business. This is actually to carry to evaluate, to assess a particular area or thing. The action research is totally different from the evaluation research. This treats knowledge as a form of power, and the and it has five unique characteristics, which are: the people who usually study are active participants in the research process. That means the people who are studied, they are considered as the active participant. Like, for example, you're looking at a focus group in, when you carry out your research. Then the study incorporates the popular knowledge and concerns of ordinary people. The study also examines powers, relations, and documents social inequality or injustice. Studies also find this type of study also find they are find the study findings are shared to raise awareness, that is educate people and empower the ordinary people. The research is tied directly to socio-political actions and achieving social goals. So we would say that these are the five unique characteristics, and actual research is not just theoretical, it's actually to kind of um, carry out, is actually put in is carried out, it's actually an act which are used to address issues or problems. Then we have the social impact assessment research. The social impact assessment research, it's used to estimate the consequence of a program policy before implementation or in early stage. It's like a research carried out to test run to actually find out the outcome of actually implementing a particular program or theme. And see, usually this test run sometimes happen in the early stage of such program when it's being implemented. We looking at audience of research, we have beyond the basic applied knowledge and the beyond the basic and applied knowledge, we have the applied dichotomy. This is trying to contract from the existing research that has already been carried out, and it could be in forms of knowledge or audience for research findings, or at research autonomy and commercial social research. So looking at the forms of knowledge, we have the instrumental knowledge, we have the reflexive knowledge. Instrumental knowledge are knowledge which can be applied into actually solving other issues, such as the engineering maths or maths rule, usually like the maths rule, like indices, for example. If you use the law of indices to actually to solve a maths problem, or try to equate it into solving a particular problem, you can actually arrive at an answer. This kind of instrumental knowledge are used to solve a problem, mathematical problem or application. Then we have the reflexive knowledge. This it's argument or debate, analyzing an event, trying to use certain theories, concepts, and models, and using it to buttress your point or to prove your point. This is totally different from the instrumental knowledge. The reflexive knowledge has to have certain theories and concepts and models in when used or when applied. We have audience for research findings. When we talk about audience for research findings, we are looking at the activists, we are looking at the general practitioners and the narrow practitioners. Then the research autonomy and commercial social research are different. Research autonomy is independent researcher who has sufficient funds and has no limitation or restriction to the level at which it can go in carrying out its research. And this kind of researcher is different from the commercial researcher, who is a person hired to conduct a study for a limited period of time. It means this researcher has a limit to which it can carry out its research. Researcher that are researcher autonomy are usually most times scientists who have gone extreme without actually considering the cause or any other restriction to come up with something at the same time. I'm not saying at the same time there are no social scientists that are also researcher autonomies, but they are too. Whatever the researcher is, whether be it a scientist or social scientist or social science researcher or art researcher, it actually means there's no limit to the how far the researcher can go in carrying out his research in terms of fund and restriction. It means the person can go at any length to pursue and get the knowledge in regards to his research. Then we this slide try to differentiate between basic research type and applied research type in terms of the audience, in terms of the reflexive autonomous forms of knowledge, instrumental commission and instrumental autonomous. For audience, basic research is scientific community, which are academic research. Then we have the audience for this and general public. They try to apply their knowledge. Normally they applied general public, participant, generalist practitioner, narrow practitioner. Then we have the basic critical for their reflexive autonomous, and reflexive autonomous for applied research is public intellectual, public educator, and democratic deliberation, dedicated deliberation. Okay, I think for basic research, it's just for basic contract and basic professional. When we talk about the form of knowledge, instrumental commission and instrumental autonomous. Why for applied research will go as far as the dedicated policy, consultant, general contract, dedicated contract for form of knowledge instrumental commission. Then for the instrumental autonomous, it could be democratic policy, participatory researcher, democratic democratic applied research and dedicated applied research. Now what is the purpose of research? Research, what are the purpose of research? We can say that purpose of research is to explore. You have to explore to come up with new findings, new issues, and also to formulate research questions. How, who, when, and find out what is this about. To explore. Exploratory research is used to kind of investigate a problem which is not clearly defined. So when we carry out research, we try to explore, we are trying to come up with new issues or formulate questions for further research. Sometimes we also carry out research to describe, to tell about the present, to tell about something, how it is, everything that has to do with it. It's like explanation. Exploratory is different from descriptive. Descriptive is trying to describe give a present picture of what is already there and for better understanding. Like in most like for most social policy research, you see we kind of give descriptive a better understanding of what is already existing. Then we have the explanation. The explanation looks for causes and reasons and also try to look at the multiple strategy which this can be that can be adopted or can be used for it. Then we build in explanation and descriptive research. There are some research which both exploratory method that can be carried out because you want to explore, at the same time you want to also describe. Now, we try to look at within or across cases. When you carry out research based on uh, describing the features of case study research, it must most case study research it's in this type of this type of research, there are case study research. You examine many features of a few cases, and you look at it's usually uh, qualitative, but it's not. It doesn't have to be anyway. But mostly, most times, it's usually qualitative research. There's non-numerical research, like like last time I was talking about case studies, and we talked about focus group, we talked about observation and things like that. So it's within or across cases can be used to you try to examine the details of a particular case as well as the surrounding issues, and it could also be carried out when we enable try to link put things together like the micro and the macro level. And you, for example, microeconomics and macroeconomics, we try to link them together, try to look at their similarities or at they affect each other and at the different levels and different aspects. It could also be single or multiple points in time, and this is when you try to differentiate between cross-sectional and longitudinal research. We For longitudinal research, it can be used for exploratory, descriptive, and explanatory purpose. It's a long period of research. It could also be used for examining dynamic processes that are dynamic, not fixed. They change, they are very dynamic, they change, they're not consistent, they change over time. Then we have this could be carried out using the time series, panel study, or cohort studies. Then let's look at data collection techniques. This summarizes the different data collection for quantitative and qualitative research. Now, looking at the quantitative data, it could be by experiments, surveys, or non-reactive research. For experiments, you these are usually like you experiment, you take samples and you try to test for the outcomes. This is usually very common within science and research. But today we're trying to look at social sciences, and for social sciences, you can actually still carry out experiments, and you try to see what will be the outcome by trying out different aspects of the research or different thing or specimen or or what will I call it, application as the case may be, to see what the outcome will be. An experiment is different from survey. Survey is using questionnaires you issue out to people, to your give out to your respondents, the people you're researching about, and they are made to fill it out. Then we have the non-reactive research, which are the content analysis and existing statistics. For content analysis, the content is there. All you need to do is try to analyze and what is already existing and see the outcome or result. Existing statistics is numerical analyzing or using carrying out statistics application on numerics. For example, like market research, for example, you try to look at the quantity bought at a particular point in time. The way people buy things during festive period is different from when it is non-festive period. People has this tendency of buying more things during festive period. All this they could be put in numerical in figures, like the quantity that has been bought and the price they were willing to pay at that point in time to buy these things. And these are all statistics. And you apply all any other statistics like main media mode, for example, you applied and you try to see what particular product was most bought among the products produced among the companies and products. And when you apply this statistical application on existing statistics, we have the existing statistics application for non-reactive research. We also have what they call the qualitative data. This has to do with field research. In field research, it could be also historical comparative research. Now, talking about the field research, it's ethnographic case studies. This is when you try to carry out scientific research in describing of people and culture with their customs, their habits and mutual differences. And in ethnographic case studies, the researcher has to observe the behavior either in person or in camera. So and most times it's some of these researches, the people which research has be carried on are not informed. This is because not for them not to change their behavior. This movie. For example, the ethnographic research in Africa in refugee camps can be is a kind of research trying to look at the Africans in refugee camps in terms of their customs, their habits, and their mutual differences when in refugee camp. Historical comparative research is different from the field research that has to do with ethnographic. For example, for historical and comparative research, we have it could be a collection of related types of research. Now, in this case, like the example I gave just now, it could be that you are actually carrying out in historical and comparative research, not only among Africans in the refugee camps, but this time you are trying to look into uh, we are trying to look into other ethnic groups like the Asians, the Americans, or the Europeans, and you try to compare aspects of social life in different historical eras. For example, probably when they are in the refugee camp and when they were not in the refugee camp. Then it could be just be two. The comparison could be just be two or more cultures as the case may be. I think this the last slides for today. So we can say a research study can be classified in different ways. Okay? Depends on the particular thing that is being researched on and what best is suitable for that particular research. And the measure of researches overlap. There is no limit to research. It's continuous. The research that were carried out before now are still being researched upon, and for every phase of research doesn't mean it has ended. It's continuous. Sometimes it could refute the earlier research. The new research could refute the earlier research, or it could be improve on or add to the new research. As far we are existing, we still want to improve on all aspects of living. Research will definitely continue, and we definitely loosely overlap each other. In dimension of research are a roadmap through the career of social research. So that is all for today's class. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to leave in the comments box. Thank you.